Right, gentlemen, this is my third attempt to try and do this. It's not saving the videos, and they're also stopping a bit too soon. So bear with me. This is still going on to this job. Right, ISA 1, Task 1. You're going to be recommissioning a bay after someone has been in and turned it off. So you can see there the gas is turned off. You will find that the gas meter's in there. It could be a U6, it could be a G4, it could be an E6, but you need to know which meter it is. Then you will find there will be a cooker, and there'll also be a boiler. Okay, so first things first, when you get to this bay, I would visually check all the pipe work, even, getting the hands on, check the knots, make sure everything is tight, everything is good, all the clipping is correct. Any faults that you find, make a note of on your sheet of paper. Once you've done that, you can then perform your tightness test. But before we start the tightness test, make sure that cooker lid is up. Right, then we connect our U gauge. Then we can let some gas in. We'll do a let by test at 1 minute at 7 to 10 millibars. Then we'll do a temperature stabilization for 1 minute at 20 to 21 millibars. And then you'll do your tightness test, which is 20 to 21 millibars for 2 minutes. Once you have done your tightness test and there was no problems, you can move on to the next stage. If, however, you found that on the let by the gas pressure went up on your gauge, you must check the ECV to make sure it's not that that's letting by, and it could be just the gas inside the main pipe work getting hot and expanding. To do that, you must fit your temporary continuity bonds upstream, then downstream. Disconnect the ECV from the anaconda, spray some LDF in there. If it blows bubbles, it's a faulty ECV. If it doesn't blow bubbles, it's just the gas expanding. So reconnect your anaconda, disconnect your temporary continuity bonds up downstream, upstream. Then do your let by, temperature stabilization, and tightness test again if you missed that stage out and gone carried on regardless. If you've got no gas leaks, because on a G4 we're allowed up to 4 millibars drop with no reported smell of gas. But if there is no gas leaks, you can move on to the cooker. If there is a gas leak, you must locate it, you must find it, and fix it. Right, once you've done that, you must perform another tightness test, but then you can move on to the cooker. You light all 4 burners up on the top, making a note of what the flame picture is, making sure there's no problems. These could be anything from dirty burners, too much gas, too little gas. That could be any number of faults. Once you've done that, turn them all off, bar that burner there. And then with that burner still on, close the lid and make sure that that flame goes out when it closes. Then light the grill, check that one, then light the oven, check that one. With my new gauge still attached to the meter, I would then do a standing pressure. So I would turn the gas on and make a note of the standing pressure. And then I would light all 4 burners, the grill and the oven up. I would open the oven door so it doesn't heat up and shut down to low gas. And then I would do a gas rate and a working pressure at the meter. So as this is all running at full gas, I would do the gas rate. This one is a metric, so you've got given your cards, you've also got this in your corgi book, so it's fairly straightforward. Time it for 2 minutes, make a note of that first reading when you started the 2 minutes, after 2 minutes, or to the closest number, because you see there that says 0 and, well, it's in between 0 and 1. What I would do is wait until it got to 1, then stop the stopwatch. And that is what I would use for my maths. So it might be 125 seconds, but that's what I would do, and just do the gas rating. Once I'd done that, I would then check it to the manufacturer's instructions. So here's the manufacturer's instructions for this particular cooker. So you can see on there, right hand front, right hand rear, left hand rear, left hand front, and then you've got the grill and ovens there. Add them all up. If it matches your gas rate, it's all brilliant. If it doesn't, which one's gone faulty? So you might need to do a gas rate on everything individually, so that you could end up doing what we got on there. So that's 4, 5, 6 extra gas rates, because it's usually the last one that's the bugger we're on. Once we've done the gas rates and everything is happy and we've made a note of them, what I would also do is I would test the cooker FSDs and thermostat. So I would turn everything else off. I would leave the cooker on, shut the door, put the cooker on gas mark 4 or something like that. Yeah, gas mark 4. Leave it whilst I'm making some notes on my paperwork and getting ready to look at the boiler that's over there. Then I'd check to make sure the flame has reduced down. If it hasn't, I might reduce it down to 2, gas mark 2. If it goes down, brilliant. If it's still not going down, I'd leave it for a further 5 minutes on gas mark 2 and start looking at the boiler. If, however, it still doesn't work, then the thermostat is faulty. Make a note on your paperwork. Now, some cookers, they will light on low flame, so that tells me that it's a vapor expansion safety device. And once the low flame has been on for a while, it should go to a high flame because that means the FSD is doing its job. If the FSD isn't, it will stay on the low flame. If, however, it starts straight on high flame, it could be that you are a thermocouple type, a thermoelectric valve could be connected to the gas tap. So don't be surprised if you see these things. Right, moving on. Once I've checked all them, we move on. I'd also check behind the back of the cooker if there's no chains or brackets to hold it in place. Then you've got to report that on your report and then identify whether it's at risk, immediately dangerous, and any other problems. Right. Then we move over to the boiler. Boiler, we check the flue, make a note of any problems that you see. So it could be 90-degree bends, it's not sealed, no clips. You could get all sorts there. You've got that missing bolt there for this particular type. You check for spillage. You can just see that red mark on that one. And some sooting and staining there. Then we check the appliance. Once we've done that, we then can light the appliance. I turn the stat off. I then reset my thermoelectric valve. I then turn it to the sparky bit, push that down, ignite it with the piezo. If it doesn't ignite, you will have to use a match, but eventually you will see the pilot lighting in there. Once you've counted to 10, let go of that, move that to flame, and then the boiler will light. But before I do that, what I would do is connect my U gauge to P2. This is P1, inlet pressure, P2 is burner pressure. I would then connect that to my U gauge. I would check to see what my burner pressure is. So it could be any one of these three. If it's not the maximum, I'd adjust it using the governor to get the maximum reading because I need it on maximum to do these next couple of tests. Once I'm doing this, I'm warming up the flue, ready to do the flue flow test. Once that is ready, I would then turn that off and turn my pilot light off. I get my smoke bomb and my smoke tube. I would light my smoke bomb. I would throw it in here, like so. And then I'm visually checking, making sure there is no smoke coming out of anywhere where it shouldn't do in here. I might need to add another bomb and go outside and check that the termination is good too. Once that flue flow test is done, I would relight. Again, my U gauge is still on. I'd relight it, get it all working, and then I'd light the boiler up, and then we've got to do the spillage test after 5 to 10 minutes again to let the flue warm up. With the spillage test, you pop the smoke match in the plume stick, and then you put it in there roughly 20 mil in at a 25-degree angle and check all the edges. So if you have to use 2 matches, you have to use 2 matches. It's not a problem. So you check all the edges. Once you've done the spillage test, you've got to do a performance test. So a performance test, nice and easy. You get your performance tester. You start it up outside in the fresh air. Once it's ready, this appliance is running on maximum. Stick your hand up the downdraft diverter, but watching out you don't put it into the hot part, which is this bit here, the flue hood, and get the probe roughly into the middle of this flue. And then just hold it there, not getting your hand cooked, until you've got a steady reading and you print that reading out. Then once you've done that, you readjust it to the burner pressure that you were on before you started. If it wasn't at maximum, it might have been on medium, or it could have been on low, adjusting it with the governor. Once you've done that again, do a second performance test and again print out the readings. Once you've done all that, you make a note of everything you've done and decide whether it is at risk or immediately dangerous or it's all okay, and you let me know. So that is roughly, on a quick go, how to do the recommissioning. It's a bit longer than me going through it in 10 minutes, but it's doable. You can remember it. Just remember the stages and remember everything I taught you. Hopefully this helps. If it doesn't, let me know, and I'll see you when I see you, when it's your assessment time. Thanks.